In this journey, woven with fate and dreams, Fuad Hijazi takes us through the quiet alleys of the soul, where pain meets hope and every fall becomes the beginning of a new rise. This is not just a story about migration or loss. It is a reflection of every heart that once stood at life's platform, hesitant between staying and leaving, between fear and faith. Through deep emotions and poetic imagery, the author paints a world where the search for meaning becomes the true voyage, a story that whispers to every listener that life, no matter how harsh, still carries within it a reason to begin again. On the platform of life, we meet. Written by Fuad Hijazi, a title that carries both longing and fate, where life's crossroads become the meeting, point of dreams and destinies.
Chapter 1. On the Platform of Childhood. The neighborhood was quiet, yet alive with a hidden pulse. Its cracked walls and collapsing roofs whispered stories of time, ancient, fragrant with the scent of days long gone. Their school lay tucked between narrow alleys and houses, pressed so tightly together that it felt as though every window gazed upon life with its own private eyes, watching the passers-by, murmuring its old secrets. The school stood tall, like a guardian of time. Its outer walls bore the scars of the years. The peeling paint revealed older layers of forgotten colors, and the rusty metal grills on the windows caught the sunlight with a silent melancholy. Inside, the air was a blend of chalk dust, neglected papers, and the earthy scent of damp soil, a spell that pulled you back into your childhood whether you wished it or not. The hallway leading to the classrooms was paved with smooth tiles, their shine long gone. Faint black lines crossed their surface, the quiet trails of countless footsteps. Laughter once echoed there, and hurried steps of fear had passed too. At the front stood the blackboard, a battlefield of chalk marks and fading numbers, half-erased formulas, and question marks that seemed to float, refusing any answer. Before it, the teacher's desk, large, old, covered in scratches, groaning softly whenever someone leaned against it. The students were a mixture of eagerness and unease. Some tapped their fingers nervously. Others whispered in low tones, their eyes fixed on the classroom door, waiting for the teacher to appear. A few in the front seats hurriedly reviewed their notes, as if racing against time, while others in the back gazed dreamily out the window, watching a drifting cloud, as though it carried their dreams away. Among them sat Kutaiba, staring at the ceiling, its fine cracks forming a tangled map that mirrored his own restless soul. The classroom was cold, the worn wooden desk beneath him creaked faintly, while the sound of chalk scratching the board and soft laughter filled the air. Beside him sat Marwan, his closest friend, the kind of friend who understood him without words, a companion through every chapter of life since their earliest days. Marwan had a vivid imagination. He often completed the thoughts that Kutaiba left unfinished. With a secret glance, they spoke in silence, creating a world of their own, where teachers became mysterious heroes or fearsome foes, and the school itself turned into a fortress filled with secrets. The teachers were part of that world too. The old history and geography teacher, with his thick glasses and deep voice, seemed to them like an ancient sorcerer guarding the secrets of time. His name was Mr. Murab, the keeper of the past. In that old history hall, where the scent of dusty paper mingled with drifting chalk, Mr. Murab stood like a Roman statue, unshaken by the storms of time. Tall, shadow-like, massive as an ancient sorcerer guarding the secrets of time. His name was Mr. Muarib, the keeper of the past. In that old history hall, where the scent of dusty paper mingled with drifting chalk, Mr. Muarib stood like a Roman statue, unshaken by the storms of time. Tall, shadow-like, massive as an ancient tome, his thick glasses rested on his nose like guards, shielding his eyes from truth's blinding light. He wasn't merely a teacher of history, he summoned it. He brought kings back to life from the pages of forgotten books, marched armies through his words, and built empires that rose and fell beneath the weight of his voice. His voice wasn't just sound, it was the toll of a bell echoing through time. When he spoke, it wasn't a lecture, it was an incantation. His deep tone rolled like waves crashing upon the rocks of memory, filling the room with awe. The students listened as if they stood before a prophet foretelling the fate of lost civilizations. And his stick, it wasn't made of wood, but of history itself. Whenever he pointed it at the board, he didn't just trace letters, he opened the gates of the past, where the whispers of pharaohs could be heard, the thunder of Mongol horses galloped again, and the screams of burning cities echoed under the weight of time. From here, the journey begins, where childhood memories blur with the echoes of history, and every lesson becomes a spell that awakens the soul. Was he truly a man, or a memory that wandered among us? In the eyes of his students, he wasn't just a teacher, he was a witness of time itself. It was as if his eyes had seen the fall of Andalou, heard Cleopatra's final whispers, and watched the first symbol carved into clay, thousands of years ago. And when he paused in silence, it wasn't hesitation, it was as though he was listening to the past as it whispered its secrets to him. Every time he finished a lesson, he closed his book, like a magician sealing his enchanted box, leaving his students suspended between wonder and bewilderment, asking themselves, is he truly a teacher, or merely a shadow left behind by time itself? Marwan with a soft, teasing laugh. You know, they say these walls remember everything, every word we've spoken, every laugh, every secret we've shared. Qutaiba smiled faintly, yet something inside him stirred, a pull toward the unseen. It was as if the walls themselves hid whispers from another world. They walked down a narrow corridor lined with old graduation photos, faces frozen in time, watching them with cold, glassy eyes. The two friends entered the classroom. It was time for mathematics, the lesson that always brought a strange mix of awe and unease. The room was crowded with cracked wooden desks. The blackboard still bore the pale ghosts of old chalk marks, failed attempts to solve the eternal riddle of numbers and equations. Qutaiba and Marwan took their usual seats in the back, whispering quietly, careful not to draw attention. Then, silence. A shadow entered. Mr. Jaber, the mathematics teacher, the master of numbers, the keeper of the maze. He stood tall, slender as a pencil, his glasses hanging on his nose. Behind their reflection, two eyes glimmered with something unreadable. No one could tell whether he was calculating the lesson or measuring their souls. He wasn't merely a math teacher, he was a living riddle. He wrote equations as though they were spells, flung numbers into the air like nets to capture the minds of his students. He walked on two legs, but his spirit was a crutch for weary minds. He didn't need a wooden cane. His soul itself was the support for the lost, wandering in the labyrinth of mathematics. His voice never rose, but it pierced. Each word rang out like a bell in the stillness of night. When he spoke of math, it wasn't numbers he spoke of, but myths, of circles that meet yet never touch, of triangles that whisper the secrets of ancient builders. When he asked a question, it was like a captain testing his crew before a storm. His chalk wasn't made of dust, it was made of riddles. No one knew if he was laughing or mocking them, if he was a teacher or a philosopher concealing theories far beyond their reach. Even Marwan, who saw numbers as nothing but cold chains, couldn't decipher the code of this man. Qutaiba, on the other hand, was drawn deeper and deeper, a sailor chasing the mirage of a forgotten treasure. Was he a man, or an equation yet to be solved? Mr. Jaber was not cruel, yet not gentle either. He never shouted like the others, but a single look from him could make a student feel as though they were adrift at sea, without a shore in sight. At times, it felt as if he could glimpse the very mysteries of existence, and at others, as if the numbers were devouring what remained of his humanity. No one knew where the man ended and where his equations began. He was a long shadow stretched across the blackboard, writing, erasing, rewriting again, as though his very existence were a mathematical problem waiting to be solved, or perhaps one that never would be. A man of average height, yet wrapped in an aura of power and secrecy. When he lifted his glasses, his sharp eyes gleamed with quiet fire. Deep lines carved his forehead, and from his calm lips came words that struck like arrows. Mathematics is not just numbers, it is the key to understanding everything around you, everything. His tone was dry, yet veiled in mystery, as if the numbers he taught carried hidden messages, keys to secrets that only the brave could dare to understand. And thus, the lesson continued, where numbers became riddles, and the teacher, a messenger from the unseen world of logic and fate.